Shalom. Following Yeshua. Welcome again to the rock. You see some of our potatoes coming in. Well, they already came in. We're going to harvest them probably next week. But you see, we got some nice sized red potatoes. And if you look at this soil actually was all leaves when it started. It was all leaves. We planted our potatoes in actually about a 2-inch layer of compost. So we put leaves on the bottom, about a foot and a half of leaves, then compost of about, I would say 3 inches of compost, buried the potatoes, and then stacked the leaves on top. And you can see the harvest. We have the one bed there. You might be able to see some potatoes over there sitting on top of the bed. It's over there somewhere. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 beds. So gonna be harvesting these out soon, and then we're gonna be putting sweet potatoes in because I got some sweet potatoes started. I'm just gonna cut the slips off of these. A brother of mine sent a video to me showing how you can get multiple slips from one potato. So I have a sweet potato in here. You see it right there. You can see it's already growing. Then there's this one. You can see the growth on that one already. And then I have one in here. And then we have also odds and other ends, like I don't know how I drew some artichoke, got in my potato bed. Just one small piece of skin that has a node can start a whole plant. And then we have a blackberry bush I'm trying to rescue, and an elderberry bush right there. Our elderberries are doing great, so we are able to actually propagate them now. So that's actually a propagated elderberry there. And we have some tomatoes. And then over there we have, what is that, moringa. Going to be planting moringa, but we're going to focus on the potatoes. Right now, in this government, in this system, you're seeing some very interesting things. And one of the things you're seeing people demand that the government do something. You know, there's that whole problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic that, I mean, it is true. But in that, people cause a problem, we react, and then we ask them for a solution, and then they go and give us a solution. But they create the problem in the hopes that we do go to them and ask them for the solution. And that's what's happening. And what's going to spin out of this? So you got some potatoes. These are probably seed potatoes for next year. Get him covered up. You see some here, got some mushy ones too. I'll probably use them for sweet potatoes too. But it's created an issue where people are now looking to government for solutions. We don't want the responsibility of ourselves. I talked many times in videos about having the responsibility of self, and we don't want that responsibility of self anymore. So people are running to the government. And what's going to happen is, I'm not a very political person. I'm biblical, but I don't really dive in. I don't do videos about politics. I read, study, know what's going on because we're supposed to. But I don't like to do videos because I'm not left, I'm not right. I've never voted, never will vote, never done the Pledge of Allegiance. I just don't get involved in all that stuff. And I'm talking about my whole life. Never done these things. Oh, there's another one. Some of these are too close to the surface. They'll probably end up only being seed potatoes. But you have to understand that you're going to start seeing a lot more laws passed that are tyrannical in nature against people who just want to be left the hell alone. And it's going to be because people are going to be voting for the government to take more control to fix the problems that they created. How beautiful is that? How great of a plan is that? You create the problem, and then the people eventually come to you and ask you for the solution, which is what you wanted in the first place. You see that in church, that same principle in church. People make, serving Yah some impossible thing so that the only thing you can do is run the church. And then they'll give you the answer. They'll give you the antidote. The answer is obviously going to be beneficial to the church, just like the government's answers are usually beneficial to the government, to the system, to the power the power structure that they're either trying to maintain or hold or whatever it may be. So people are going to be going and voting. And people are going to be, now I won't be voting, but people are going to be voting, and they're going to be voting for things that are more tyrannical because they need help. When 37 from last year, this point, to this year, this point, in families, and they consider families man, woman, and children, but they also consider families women and children. But families have experienced an increased level of homelessness to the point of 37%. There's 37% more unhoused families this year than there were last year. And people are looking for answers. You know, when the zombie plague hit and all the checks were going out and people were loving it. People stopped going to work. People stopped trying. People started chilling. They got their PPP loans. They made up shit. They lied so they can get money. And then, you know, it just imprisoned them. That money that they got really imprisoned them because most of them are now in trouble because they really didn't have businesses. And they just got entrapped into the system, further into the system. And it doesn't bother many people. But it bothers me to a level. That's one of the reasons why I came out here, is the hope that I will be left alone. But a lot of people are still in situations where they can't be left alone. And you have to understand that as time goes on, this system's going to it has to become more oppressive because they have the opportunity to be more oppressive. If they have the opportunity to take more power, they're going to take more power. And they are positioning themselves, this system is, just like your church is, to take more power. That's why you got people, men, running to the church right now and begging for the church to solve their issues. And what does the church do? They give you the presumption that they will solve your problems. All you have to do is swear your unmitigated loyalty to them. No matter what happens, you protect the church. And it's a sad, sad state that we're in. Look at that. God's blessed us. The whole garden is filled with them. And I have 4 gardens here, and I'm going to be building 2 more gardens next year. It's just calories. It's important to have these calories to produce. See, and the system hates this. They hate people that do stuff like this, that break away from the system. You know, back in our history, the Bible, you look at and you see that Egyptians hated shepherds because Egypt didn't like people that weren't dependent on them. Just like the system today doesn't really value people that aren't beneficial to them. They want you to go, make your money, pay your taxes, pay your income tax, then go and spend all your money, and then pay your sales tax. They want you to continually live paycheck to paycheck. And now people aren't even living paycheck to paycheck. They're just surviving paycheck to paycheck. They're barely making it from 1 month to the next month. They're just surviving it, just so that they can have the same stress and the same problems the next month. They barely figured out how they paid their rent this month, and they're barely going to figure out how they're going to pay their rent next month. Or they'll be evicted and have to move somewhere else. Or like we're seeing, they'll be in a minivan on the side of the road, on the side of a curb or on the side of a road with a 2-mile-long group of other parked cars from people that are being unhoused because a lot of people lived way outside of their means. And then when they tried to bring it back in and live with inside their means, it was too late. It was too late. Then they got evicted or they got foreclosed on and then they got divorced and, it's maddening. So you're going to see more oppressive laws. I know a lot of you, our government's going to solve our problems. When have they ever solved a problem? When have they ever solved a problem? They lie about everything. They lied about, just dating all the way back to even the wars. They ran around telling people, yeah, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. When Abraham Lincoln that whole Civil War was fought over states' rights, and the North wanted to keep the South in bondage. That's why the war started. But you don't know that because you didn't read your history book. You just take what you take in the history class. The North wanted to continue to make money off of the South's exports, and the South found a way to export goods without going through the North, and the North didn't like it. And the Emancipation Proclamation had nothing to do with freeing slaves. It had to, or they wanted the slaves to be free because they were just nice people. These men in the government were just nice people. No, there was a motive behind it. They destabilized the whole South by getting rid of their workforce. And then a lot of those slaves ended up joining the army, and that's why you have the movies like Glory. You have groups like that, regiments that fought in the Civil War. South was losing; they were getting their ass kicked by the North. The North was losing; they were getting their ass kicked by the South. The Confederacy was whooping the ass of the North because you had people who were fighting for what they believed in versus people who were being paid. You don't know how that works? Just go look at Afghanistan, go look at Iraq. Look at the people who are fighting for their way of life compared to the people that are paid to go over there and fight. I digress. These systems always oppress. And you're not going to find the truth by running to your leadership. If you look around this world, leadership, if you haven't been able to tell, leadership is in it for the benefit of themselves. They're going to benefit themselves. They're going to make money. They're going to live a high life. They're going to make it off of you. The same way the government taxes the people and keeps the people oppressed is the same way you see in these churches. They don't call it tax. They call it offerings. And meanwhile, you don't have the freedom to live, based on what Yah has led you to do, the same way this government does it. The church makes up rules, makes up laws, and then calls it the Bible. The government makes up rules and makes up laws. We have a Bible. The government has a constitution. They don't like the constitution. They ratify it and they change it, just like pastors do the word of Yah. They make up laws. They make up doctrines. They make up rules as they go along. And most of those rules and laws they make up, have you noticed, are all about oppressing you. They're all about getting what you have, all things in common, and give us your stuff. And if you don't give it to us, you're selfish. You hear that same rhetoric, that same speech from people that are gung-ho about this system. You shouldn't, store more food than you need in your house because shut up. So just be aware that this system is falling. And the rules are going to become more and more oppressive because the people are going to be voting for them. They're going to be asking for more chains if it means they get fed, if that means they get to keep a shack over their head, if that means that their children can get a little bit. You want to understand a little bit about that system? Go read the Willie Lynch letters. Go read what they said about how to make a slave. That's what it's called, How to Make a Slave. Go read that. Read how the blueprint has been laid out, how to make slaves. And now that blueprint went away from the Hebrew man, the black male, the black, man, and it went to everybody is now being made a slave. Everybody. Everybody should read that letter. Get an idea of the game that was played and the game that has continued to be played. Because it's all about control. And they scared people enough, finally, where people are ready and willing to relinquish their control if it means government will take care of them, if it means the church will come and take care of them. But it's going to require you to lose everything that Yah gave and put inside of you. You're going to have to lose your preeminence, man. You're going to have to lose your household. You're going to have to lose your finances. You're going to have to lose your land. You're going to have to lose everything that Yah put inside of you, the dominion that he wanted from you. You're going to have to lose it. But hey, at the end of it all, you get to be a good servant, and not serving Yah. You get to serve the government, and you get to serve your pastor, and you get to serve leadership, and these leaders in this world. You get to serve them really well. Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back. Because they just made you their dog. Shalom.